No, my father, how many present he's giving?
ये तो खैर है,
ये अच्छी है आप ये।
आसान है
इसका स्टैंड इसके हाथ है।
जी, ये लक्स लगा है ना, ये बढ़िया था, सब दिख रहा है।
ये आपके वक्त
नहीं नहीं, इससे बाद में भी आ गए कुछ, मैं पिछले साल भी ये यूज कर रहा था मैं। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मुहम्मद। أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون صدق الله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The verse that I recited is from Surah Baqarah, verse number 185. Last night we recited the other verse from Surah Baqarah which talks about the ahkam of fasting. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان إلى آخر. In that verse there were more ahkam mentioned in that ayat as opposed to this one. In that ayat we had discussed last night, if you were here, the ahkam of fasting for a person who's traveling, for a person who's sick, and why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given such leniency. And then we went off to other ahkam that usually people have, or the questions that usually people ask. I wanted to make this sort of more interactive maybe towards the end when I finish at 8:30ish. Give like 5 minutes if people have questions they can raise, because a lot of time what happens, we have these recurring questions, with these ongoing questions, we get some answers, sometimes we don't get these answers. A lot of these things are obviously only during the month of Ramadan, so we can care less what happens throughout the year, and so they only pop up in our minds within this frame, or within this time of Ramadan. So therefore, if there are a few minutes towards the end, we won't take too much, maybe 2 or 3 questions, inshallah. If there are any, we will address that. And I will encourage, if the ladies also want to raise questions, they can do that as well. But this ayat is the other ayat which talks about the fasting. Although the word Ramadan, as I mentioned last night, has only appeared in Quran once, this ayat does not mention the word Ramadan, rather it mentions the word Siyam. And it is the ayat which is making it to be obligatory for one to go ahead and fast. When you look at the history of Islam, when you look at when our Prophet was mab'uth bi risalat, when he assumed the responsibilities of propagation of the religion at the age of 40, a lot of people think that this is when he became Nabi. No, he was Nabi when Adam was not even created. Yes, so when there's no doubt about his nubuwwat, his nubuwwat was always there. His risalat is something which came about at the age of 40. So he became a messenger so that he can go ahead and propagate. But the nubuwwat was something which was there from the very beginning. And this is why we see that there's really no distinction. If you want to go ahead and say, well, why did he get the risalat so late? Then you will have to make Isa ibn Maryam to be superior to Rasulullah, because he got the risalat when he was still in the arms of his mother. Right? He said what? Inni Abdullah atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyya, and so on and so forth. So that is not the case. It is the the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that for some He gives them right away, for some He delays for 40 years because there's other things that He needs to accomplish until that time. And that was something which we saw that Prophet through his character was able to attract people towards him before any religion came about. So when the religious obligations came about, it would be acceptable for people to go ahead and listen to the Prophet who they always consider to be Ameen and Sadiq all throughout his life. So here we see the Prophet of Islam, when he explains these masail one after another, and these things are become obligatory one after another. It is mentioned in Riwayat that this ayat was revealed second year after the Hijrah. So the first 13 years in Mecca, there was no fasting for that matter. So Islam had been brought, the religion and the religious obligations were coming one after another, but the concept of fasting had not been made clear thus far. So this was the first ayat which comes about. Again, it's something which people of the previous beliefs used to do. So it was not a new phenomena for them. But it was something which was new to the people who were converting to Islam. And that's why we see that Islam gradually introduced the ahkam of Shari'ah one after another. And so we need to be very mindful when we expect, or when a newcomer walks into the realm of Islam, when a person embraces the religion and becomes a Muslim, we should not go ahead and make it difficult upon them to go ahead and do all of these obligations which you and I are brought up doing when we were younger. So even when our children, they're growing up, it's not wajib upon them to fast. We start making them fast half a day, 3/4 of a day, or a full day while they're growing up, so they can learn how to fast until they become baligh, and so their duty is becoming very easy for them. But this is how we need to also look at those who are newcomers to the religion. Don't put pressure onto them. Don't give them, you have to fast on 30 days, you have become Muslim. If you don't fast, it'll be adhab onto you, it'll be haram, and so on and so forth. No, this person will run away. This is how you go ahead and embrace. This is how you bring people into your own capacity. I don't like to share personal stories, but here I remember one. When we were studying in Iran, in Qom, going through our studies of religious studies in Hawzat al-Ilmiya, there was a group of Chinese students. They were original Chinese students. They weren't Desis living in China. They were Chinese students. They were recruited and they were brought to our madrasa over there in our Hawzat al-Ilmiya. When obviously these were the people, they already knew how to speak Arabic. They had learned Arabic. They were Sunnis from Ahl Sunnah. They were studying in the madrasa of Ahl Sunnah in China. Now they were recruited to come and study in Iran as a scholarship. This was the way Iran promoted the religious study. It went to different countries and recruited people, paid for all of their expenses, gave them time so they can come and study. This time, sometime it worked out, sometime it did not work out. But these 30 students were brought all together at once. There was a practice of the Hawza students that they used to recite Ziyarat Ashura every Thursday night. Aside from Ziyarat Warith, they would recite Ziyarat Ashura. Now these people, they know Arabic. So when they know Arabic, when Ziyarat Ashura is being recited and we're saying La'anallahu ibn Ziyad wa ibn Marwan wa ala this and ala Sufyan and so on and so forth, they understood who we were sending our la'nat onto. Right away, there was a revolt that came about. A lot of them, started speaking. Imagine the whole masjid is filled with the followers of Ahlul Bayt were reciting this, ziyarah. And then there are 30 of them who are revolting, saying, what are you doing? Why are you cursing? And they showed their anger towards it. This is where, tadbir was needed. This is where someone with cool-headed needed to address this issue. This is where one of our mudir, the principal of the madrasa, he said, stop reading Ziyarat Ashura. Right away, it struck many of us saying, why would we stop reading? We want to continue on reading. Why should we stop? Yeah, there was another revolt for that matter. But he said, no, he was the mudir, so his hukum was last. He said, stop reading Ziyarat Ashura. No more recitation of Ziyarat Ashura. We stopped. We did not recite Ziyarat Ashura for good 2-3 months. Until these very Chinese students, when they had already started studying religious studies, and they had already started studying the fiqh of Shia, and they started studying the tarikh in the way it was taught, they 6 months later were reciting Ziyarat Ashura alongside with us. They got in the same saf with us, and they were the front row reciting Ziyarat Ashura with us, knowing every single word of it. So here you understand, if they were stopped over there and they were told, no, we're going to go ahead and recite because this is our belief and there's nothing wrong with it, those people would have never come to this path. But you gave them time, whether 6 months, 3 months, whatever, they came to understanding what the ziyarah means, they were the first ones reciting it. So a lot of time we need to have this tadabbur, if you want to look at it, in order to go ahead and plan things out in a way so that we are not, turning other people off. In fact, we are bringing them into the same sufuf as ours. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So when Islam introduced the ahkam, one after another, the ahkamat were being introduced. You know, the concept of people used to drink alcohol at that time. The ayat did not come right away, making it forbidden for them to drink. Rather, the ayat came gradually. It said, La taqrabu as-salat wa antum sukara. Do not approach the prayer while you are intoxicated. Someone might look at this ayat of Quran even today, which is there, and say, the Quran did not say do not drink. It's just saying do not, be intoxicated when you're praying, when you're worshiping. Sort of like when it says, don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Just don't drink, period. Forget about, putting it together in a compound sentence with driving. Similarly, it says, La taqrabu as-salat wa antum sukara. That means being sukara, intoxicated, is okay, as long as you're not combining with salat. That's the notion that you get out of it. Where apparently that's the meaning of it. But this is how people were being trained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These people were used to drinking. It was part of their regular routine. And so when they learned that we have to now pray 5 times a day, and we cannot come to the prayer while we are intoxicated, slowly they stopped this habit of theirs. Slowly they start giving up this drinking of theirs. And then on top of that, riwayat and narrations later on that came, it basically gave them a way to go ahead and slowly gradually get rid of this habit of theirs. Once they were able to have complete control over it, only then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals the ayah saying, khamr wal maisar wal azlam wal insab, min amal al-shaytan, rajsun, wa fashtanibu. I don't know the whole ayat, fashtanibu. The end of the ayah says what? Fashtanibu. This is where your amr, which your hukum is coming. That this khamr, this maisa, these gambling and whatnot, these are all actions of shaitan. They are, forbidden for you. Fashtanibuhu. Stay away from them. What happened? Overnight? No, not overnight. Gradually over a long period. These people were now trained to stay away from drinking. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them the ultimatum that it should be forbidden and you should stay away from it. So we see that ahkamat came slowly and gradually. And that's why fasting did not become wajib right away. Only in the 2nd year after Hijrah, 13, 14 years after Islam, or the Baisat of Rasulullah, we see that this is something which is being mentioned, which is being introduced. And that's why it is very interesting to know, when people talk about the event of Ghadir Khum, that, the ayat was revealed, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ فَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ وَاللَّهُ The whole ayat, if you look at it, it says, O Prophet, do the tabligh, iblag, mention to them, propagate that which has been revealed unto you from your Lord. If you do not propagate, as if you have not given the message at all. Everybody knows this ayat was amongst the last of the verses that was revealed. And that too at Ghadir Khum. When the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib was mentioned. This ayat was revealed. Now if you go ahead and look at the Mufassirin, they have given different explanations. That, what is the word baligh over here referring to? What was it that Prophet is now being asked to go ahead and mention? What is it that Prophet must go ahead and disclose to the people that has not already been disclosed? From different people are already knowing that when this ayat was revealed, it's still mentioned that this ayat is probably referring towards one of the ahkamat, one of the wajibat, such as prayer, because it's such an important thing. O Prophet, if you did not mention to them about the prayer, as if you have not mentioned anything at all. No. Muslimin have been praying from the very beginning. No, then it must be in regards to fasting. Oh Prophet, if you did not mention about fasting, as if you have not mentioned anything at all. No, Muslimin have been fasting since the 2nd year of Hijrah. Right now, this is the 10th year of Hijrah. What are you talking about? He said, then it must be mentioning about one of the other ahkamat. No, jihad for example. Muslimin have been engaged in jihad from the very beginning. They've been fighting all of these wars. Badr took place, Uhud took place, all of these wars, battles have taken place. It could not have been in regards to one of these battles. So it must be something which has never been mentioned before, openly in this way, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's orders. And it must be something which is so important that Allah is saying, Allah will protect you from the people. Wallahu ya'asimuka, right? Another place in Quran, when talk about Yawm akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam deena. Similarly over there it says, Al-yawm ya'isal lazina kafaru min deenikum. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. Over there he said, do not be afraid of them, be afraid of me. Here he said, وَاللَّهُ يَعْصِمُكَ. Allah will protect you from the people's wrath and their anger. So it must be something very, very important. So hence we understand it was only the concept of the wilayat and the continuation of the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen, Imamul Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, which was something which was not declared as in this way before. It had been mentioned, but not in this way, in the jama of all of these people. And secondly, we see the two signs over here, that Allah will protect you. Do not be afraid of anyone but me. So we see that how the ahkamat were gradually given to us, and it was not something which was all instantaneous. Here, this ayat that I recited, I've just in muqaddamah, I've taken 20 minutes, that it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam. So this concept, kutiba, is making it to be what? Wajib and obligatory upon us. So nobody should think that it is a recommendation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, it's a wajib, which is an obligation which has been laid down upon you. Kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. Similarly, how it was made wajib upon people that lived before you. Now they fast or they don't, that's another thing. They fast or they don't, that's another thing. Similarly, when we look at today, when we try to prove and disassociate ourselves with what is going on in the Muslim world, these people who have taken the title of Islam, in the form of whether it's Taliban or ISIS or Al-Qaeda or whatever it might be, Boko Haram, different title but the same acts and same deeds, followers of the same clan, we see that we distance ourselves from them. And here we want to make a point out of it, that when you look at all of the Muslimin in the world, it is wajib upon them to fast, or it is haram upon them to not do this and not do that. The question is, do you think all of 1.6 billion Muslims in the world are following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as far as the wajibat are concerned and as far as the muharramat are concerned? So you could not go ahead and label everyone based on what they're doing and what they're not doing. Rather, you don't look at Muslimin as a whole. Rather, you look at Islam and the teachings of the Islam. So this is what Islam is telling us over here. Coming back to, without going into the tangents, coming back to the topic. This concept became wajib upon you. Why? Because it was wajib upon people that lived before you. So don't be surprised that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making something wajib upon you now. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. This is where the point is. So that you may attain taqwa. The previous ayat that I recited last night was what? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So that you may be thankful towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you may be grateful towards Him. Here it says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So here we understand that there are definite benefits that are associated with fasting. So don't just look at it from the aspect that Allah is making it wajib upon us. There are many benefits, social effects and the social benefits that are associated with fasting. For example, rich and those who are well off, they understand the pain of those who do not have the basic necessities of the life. This whole month-long training, if you want to call it training, that we, from the physical aspect, are giving a rest to the most, used organ of our body, and that is our digestive system. It is used constantly. We're basically giving it a rest. For 1 month long, we're basically giving it a rest, that go ahead and rest some part of the day. So that, roza after you break your fast, obviously it starts working again. But at least in 17 hours that we have, what are we doing? We're actually giving it a break. When you give it a break for that long, every single day for 30 days, definitely this digestive system is fresh again. It's rejuvenated. It's replenished at the end of the month. And so that it's able to function better afterwards. Go ahead and ask those who are physicians. They'll be able to agree with this fact, and it has been proven as well. Not that we're fasting for any medical reason. There's no medical reason that we're fasting. In fact, sometimes we're actually not fasting for the medical reasons. But it's not that a medical science has to come and approve something for us in order for us to go ahead and fast. It is enough that Allah says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. That's enough for us. We do not need anything further beyond that, because it's the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But nonetheless, a lot of time what happens, these, enforcements, these other, supplementary arguments bring and make people think, because we're people, especially the youngsters over here, they want to think through things logically, and they want logical proofs of that, and therefore these are some of the good ways of looking at it. So, one thing that it does, social benefit, is that you're able to understand and put yourself in the shoes of those who are deprived, those who are less fortunate in the world. Yes, we can give enough charity as we want to, but you do not understand the hunger a person goes through. Even at the end of the day, you and I are able to break the fast, but these 16, 17 hours, the fact that you have food in your refrigerator, in your pantry, in your kitchen, but because there's a hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to touch it. This is where you understand that how a person who does not have anything, how do they go through in their daily lives. When you're able to understand their pain, only then you will be able to help them the way you should be helping them. Otherwise, we give charity all the time. Oh yes, suffering over there, let's send some money. Let's donate something. Okay, $100 should do it. But when you're able to feel the pain of someone else, another brother in faith, only then you will be able to help them the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to help. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So here, so second is the individual. So first was the social benefit. Social benefit, you understand how Islam wants us to understand the pain of those who are less fortunate. Those who do not have enough food and to consume, you and I can understand their pain. And secondly, social benefit is during this month of Ramadan, we come together as a whole community to break our fast, to pray together, to recite the munajat and the recitations of the du'as, and perform our ibadat in congregation. So that's another social benefit of it. There's no class system over here that this person can only sit here or that person can only sit there, or only these classes will sit in the first row or in the second row or in the third row, or imam can only do this or can only not. None of those things exist as far as our congregations are concerned. It is void of all of different classes or status as far as our congregation is concerned. And that's the essence what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have by bringing us together during this month of Ramadan to go ahead and break the fast together, eat the same food, go ahead and sit together on the same floor. There's no distinction between any human being as far as that is concerned. There's no distinction between different Muslimin. The only distinction that God knows is inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The most honorable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be the most pious. There's no other criteria for distinction, none whatsoever. So that's as far as the social benefit is concerned. We look at some of the individual benefits. Yes, not only we are socially benefiting from this Ramadan, from the fast of the month of Ramadan, but there are a lot of individual benefits that are associated with it as well. Our fourth Imam, in fact, when he mentions that, he says, وَأَرْبَحْنَا أَفْضَلَ أَرْبَاحِ الْعَالَمِينَ. We are the ones who were able to benefit the best of the benefit of Alameen from this month of Ramadan. Why? He said, well, people have different New Years. Some people have the Gregorian calendar as their New Year. Guess what happens during the New Year? The New Year's Eve and all of those festivities, they go on. After the New Year's over, what do they have? They have the New Year resolution. I want to be able to accomplish this. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to stay away from this, which is very good. Some people have that New Year. A lot of people have different New Years. Different countries or different ethnic backgrounds have different New Years. He said, but those who are the wayfarer or the salikeen towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their New Year is month of Ramadan. He said those who are in the farming business, their New Year is when they're harvesting their crops during the summertime. That's their New Year. Different people, different New Years. But those who are salik towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who are traveling towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who are the wayfarer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their New Year is this month of Ramadan. Because this is where they're able to go through this rigorous test to go ahead and purify their physical aspect and as well as their spiritual aspect, and then come out as a new human being. And this is where Imam says, وَأَرْبَحْنَا أَفْضَلَ أَرْبَاحِ الْعَالَمِينَ, that we have definitely gotten most of the virtues as anyone could have as far as this month of Ramadan is concerned. So we should go ahead and measure our level of ma'rifat. It should not be that the month of Ramadan begins, we have a speaker come in, he'll give the speech, we'll pray, we'll go and break the fast, and then we'll commence next day again with the same exact manner. And then the 30 days will be over, we'll have these festivities, and then we'll wait for the next year of month of Ramadan. No, this is not. You have killed the purpose of this whole month of Ramadan. You have not benefited. Then you would not be entitled to say, أَرْبَحْنَا أَفْضَلَ أَرْبَاحِ الْعَالَمِينَ. You do not have the title. You do not have the opportunity to say that. Only Imam can say that then. Why? When can you say this? When you're able to mold your life in a way that this month of Ramadan, when you enter into this month of Ramadan, you're in one way, and when you exit this month of Ramadan, you're a different way. A lot of time what happens, when you pick up a glass for drinking water, you look at the glass to make sure that there's no dirt in it. There's nothing else which is harmful in it. You clean the glass and then you pour water in it so that you can drink it. Why? Because you don't want to pour the water in a glass which is already dirty, which is already polluted, which is already contaminated. Why? Because water will become contaminated and it will not be of any use to you. Similarly, these vessels that God has given to us, these bodies that God has given to us, the soul that God has given to us, if it is polluted already, no matter how many months of Ramadan you go through, it will not be cleansed. So what you do, you go ahead and purify this vessel that God has given to you. How do you purify? You say, Maulana has said purification. How do you purify? The best way of purification is tawbah ilallah. Turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there's any mistake that you have made, if there's a sin that you have committed, na'udhu billah, the only way to get rid of that is performing this tawbah an-nusu, that tawbah by which that you will not return back to this old act. And then when you enter in this month of Ramadan, now you have purified yourself, you have cleansed yourself. Now every time something comes towards you, it will be beneficial. Why? Because this vessel is ready to accept it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So we measure the level of ma'rifat from the previous Ramadan, month of Ramadan. We look at how and where we were the last year, and where are we this year. As far as our personal, I'm not talking about social here, as far as the personal gain is concerned, as far as personal status is concerned, from the spiritual aspect, how close we are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our measure, the knowledge of our, religion and the religious issues. Have we been able to solve those issues last year? No, we're going to have the recurring same issues will be questioned again this year. What does that mean? That means we failed to understand it the last time, or we weren't really paying attention because it wasn't concerned to us after the month of Ramadan was over. Level of deterrence in front of the sins, has it increased, na'udhu billah, from last year? Or has it increased deterrence from last year? Or our sins, na'udhu billah, have increased since last year? Month of Ramadan is for salikeen, is the month of accountability, is the month of muhasibay nafs. And therefore, we go ahead and take this opportunity. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability and the tawfiq so that we're able to go through this month in a way that we are coming out of it as a newborn child. Why? There are numerous occasions that Prophet has mentioned this hadith when he talks about when a person goes to perform the Hajj, and after having performed the Hajj, this person is what? It's like a newborn child. There's no sin upon this newborn child. And if you doubt in this hadith, then there's problem with the hajj of yours as well. So similarly, different ahadith mentioned in as far as month of Ramadan is concerned, that a person who's able to perform the ibadat, who's able to stay away from the sins, who's able to stay away from all of these acts, this is the person in the sight of our Prophet, a person who's a newborn child, without bearing any responsibilities or accountabilities on his shoulder, because he has cleared his account as far as muhasabah nafs is concerned, as far as his accountability is concerned. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq, to be able to ponder onto the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be able to ponder onto the different narrations, different du'as that we recite in this month of Ramadan, and to be able to increase our iman, especially when the nights of Layali al-Qadr will come. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the zuhur of our awaited Imam and make us among the soldiers and the helpers of Imam. Wa akhu dawana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. We ask you to recite a Surah Fatiha for the sponsors marhumin, tonight's sponsors marhumin, as well as a lady who was buried today, Sakina Mahdi bint Sayyid Ali Akbar Radhawi. Please recite Surah Fatiha for your marhumin as well. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata al-ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. I think there was a dua made last night for some individuals. They're not feeling well. Kazim Sheikh and there were some other people. Let's recite 5 times Amma Yujib so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring them out of their difficulty. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibul muttarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su. Amma yujibul muttarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su. عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء عما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض إلهم مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. At this point, we have about a couple of minutes. I've actually run out of my time, but if there are any questions, live questions, I can take those. I don't know if there's access to the ladies. I'm sure they will have questions as well. But yes, go ahead.
Somebody, they do the siyam just in Ramadan and Salah. Is correct or not?
They do.
Siyam and Salah just in Ramadan.
So fasting is only wajib in Ramadan. If
You say people don't pray any regular day.
well,
Ramadan pray and fast and they stop.
the acceptor is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are 2 things. One is tariqus salat, one is munkirus salat. Tariqus salat is the person who believes in the prayer but does not pray. We still call him Muslim. We don't kick them out of the realm of Islam, right? Here they're tariqus salat. They just, have, forbade they have disregarded the prayer, but they still believe in it. As long as that person is not munkir as-salat. If they're munkir as-salat, then they're, obviously out of. So, yes, if they pray and they fast, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it. When they don't pray outside of the month of Ramadan, indeed they're committing a sin, which is a grave sin. The riwayat say, أَوَّلُ مَا سُئِلَ, the first thing which will be questioned is as-salat. In qubilat, qubila ma siwa. If salat is accepted, everything else is accepted. Wa in ruddat, rudda ma siwa. If it's rejected, everything else is rejected. So salat is very important. Yes, you have to fast and pray in the month of Ramadan in order for that formula to work. But even outside of the month of Ramadan, make sure that you encourage that they worship and they pray. Yes. Hopefully that answers the question. Yes.
For a person who travels about 2 hours daily back and forth.
Yes.
Safar?
He will be Kathiru Safar, yes. Yes. So for Kathiru Safar, there are a lot of questions. Kathiru Safar is someone who travels at least 3 days a week, 12 times a month. If you are a traveler, then you're considered Kathiru Safar. Your salat will be full, your fast will be, wherever you go, you'll be doing it. And so that's Kathiru Safar, yes. You'll find in the books of Maraji. So I don't know where the original source is, but for example, Ayatul Makarim Shirazi, in his Istifta'at, I actually saw this number for the first time. He said 3 days a week, 12 times a month. If a person is a traveler, they consider to be kathiru salat, or kathiru safar. So that's the source of it.
So if someone makes the intention to travel qasr to come here every evening in the month of Ramadan, does the prayer that we pray?
No, it has to be something which is continuous for at least 6 months, right? For you to be established as kathiru safar. It's not for 15 days, like I'm coming here for 15 days. I'm doing something else to make my salat be 4 rakat, which I'll share with you later on. But, for 15 days, it will not work. You're just coming here for 1 month, it will not work. It has to be at least 3 months, 6 months for that to take place and to be established. Yes. Okay, so we've run out of time. We'll give people time for wudu. Inshallah, we'll stop a little bit earlier tomorrow, so we have more time for questions. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.